Hello and welcome back. This is a update video to my my larger system, about 100 gallons total water volume. Last time I did this, it was right around the same time last year, so this will be the 1-year anniversary update. Now, starting off the tank itself, we'll get that going around first. We have a 80-gallon rimless Sephora tank. Really awesome quality. Doesn't have any scratches yet, even though it has been a whole year. I have been very gentle when cleaning it though. And a 40-gallon breeder, just a normal 40 breeder like you could get at your local fish store, PetSmart or whatever, as the sump. So this is a rimless tank, but it's not drilled. So what I've used is this overflow box designed for a much larger tank, so that I could have much stronger flow. So I believe this is rated for 125 gallons. I don't know the exact model number, but it's the eShop's overflow box. Never give me any grief. It's never, lost suction in the middle of the night and flooded the place. Knock on wood. And so that's that. And then the lights that are that we're running on this tank are two Radeon Gen 5 XR30 blues, and I have the whites dialed up pretty high and the blues pretty low right now, just so that the blue light doesn't screw with the camera. I do have a filter, but then everything else would look orange, and you guys wouldn't want that, would you? So that's what the lighting is. As far as the return pumps go, to add a little bit extra flow, I've got the Vectra M2, which does a whopping 2,000 gallons per hour, and the Core 20, which also does a whopping 2,000 gallons per hour, which is pretty nuts for an 80-gallon tank. So they're both dialed down to half, so they're both running at 1,000, which is a total water volume of 2,000 gallons per hour turnover in this tank, which is still pretty nuts. We have the Apex Pro rack there. We have two heaters. It's a little bit bubbly right now because the skimmer is doing such a great job collecting all that fish poop. That is the forbidden coffee right there. I've recently had to jury rig this filter sock under the tank. Just screwed it in there, tied it up because there's it's a DIY filter sock. This is a DIY sump. So this is not a pre-made sump. It's literally just a 40-gallon breeder with a Dexter's divider right here, which separates the two sections really well through the use of a rubberized silicone. So it makes a really nice seal right there. Basically, a 40-gallon sump is roughly about $600, and I did this one about $100. I already have the tank, so technically just $50 for the divider. So really good right there. This reduces the bubbling effect that you can see there, because that used to really mess up my Chaetomorpha and make it really like fuzzy, but now it's nice big thick Chaeto down there. Alrighty, and next we'll move on to some of the side equipment of the tank. So starting off strong, we have the MP40, that is the power head to the right, that is generating all the flow in the tank. Right now, my favorite mode is the nutrient transport, because it kind of makes a whooshing motion back and forth. You can see it really well with that green star polyp right there, as it's going back and forth and back and forth, just like it would in nature. So really awesome harmony that you can see there. The best thing about these Vortex is, one, I've only cleaned them once in a whole year. Took some citric acid to them with a toothbrush, and even when they were super gunked up, I really didn't see a lot of performance loss. Also, literally no sound off that, even though it is externally driven. Another great thing is that I'm in the garage, and it gets hot down here, so all that extra heat generated from the power head is outside, not inside. Thus why I have a gigantic chiller down here. And it is the model TK1000, and it will, in about 30 minutes, take the tank from about 80 degrees all the way back down to 76, in which case the heaters kick on and bring it back up to 77. So lots of fail-safes here. You can see that the Vectra and the Vortec controllers are really easily mounted. I really like that Vortex come out with that mounting option where you can just drill it into the wall. And it's really stable. If you ever have to do any maintenance to the controller, they literally just kind of pop right out, pop right back in, and you never know that there's really anything there because they're nice and black. And now moving on to the Apex. This is probably where the bulk of the video is going to be, so if you don't like nerdy tech stuff, then I'm sorry. So the Apex system, I kind of have a tablet mounted here so I can see everything going on. Pretty easy to walk through. I mean, setting up any piece of equipment, they literally give you a step-by-step guide. It really is quite foolproof, even though it looks very complicated. Now for the rest of all this stuff, I'm going to explain the equipment, kind of point out the different controllers and stuff. And if I'm able to figure out the screen recorder on my computer, which I haven't been able to do for about 10 years, then I will, I'll make the video a little bit longer and add some of that Apex Fusion stuff and dialogue. So this is the doser, pretty cool. Now I have found that for some reason, you know, it's good, all liquid, and then when it comes out of here, it comes out of there, air. So I get air pockets, and it's really annoying. I mean, I've compensated a little bit for how much it needs to dose, but I've yet to figure that out in the year that I've had it, which is super annoying. I've cut these almost perfectly flat and wedged them in so tight. I don't know if it's maybe the internal parts are broken. I don't know. It's driving me nuts right now. But really, that's my only complaint for all the Neptune stuff, and it's really not even a complaint. I guarantee it's user error. When it comes to plumbing and stuff, I am not capable of doing that, so I guarantee it's just user error. This is kind of the dashboard I have set up. It looks like a whole horde of wires. If I had the option of drilling through the drywall and rerouting all that stuff, I would, but that's just a horrible mess, and it's not worth the time. So, I mean, as far as it goes, it's not super bad. It's all really well organized. Each of these individual outlets are controlled via the software in the app, which is wireless. Actually, it's plugged directly into that router there. And so I can control any of my equipment anywhere in the world. It's super duper awesome. Pretty high-tech stuff, and like I always tell people, it's just insurance. You go on a trip and your heater makes your tank go up to, I don't know, 90, this will shut it off. So, you know, and then it'll give you an alert and give you the option of turning it back on manually, if you so choose. But this is the Trident, which analyzes the water, alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. It does alkalinity 4 times a day, calcium, magnesium twice a day. It can do it more. I just am cheap and I don't want to spend a lot of money on reagents, so I don't do it that much. But the Trident will actually control the doser, which is how I'm saying, oh, it's compensating, because the Trident tells the doser how much it needs to dose in order to maintain my levels, which you can see right here, my alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. And that looks like a bunch of like big changes, but I guarantee it's probably a difference of 0.2 on the alkalinity scale, and calcium, yeah, probably like 30, you know, which isn't that bad for calcium. Magnesium, it's always like guaranteed to be stable. I barely go through any magnesium. Great thing about this is the water level probes. It already alerted me that I need more calcium solution. I'm getting kind of low there. And alkalinity, it's perfectly fine, but I definitely go through more alk than I go through calcium. This is the controller for the really cool, the Core 20, which if you remember is the return pump. So the Core 20 down here, which is the orange guy right there, and pardon the bubbles, but it's that orange thing right there. And it will pump the water right back out through here, that little nozzle right there. and it's controllable, so you don't actually need all this high-tech stuff to go with it. It's completely automated by itself with this little controller. You can kind of tone it down, tone it up, but right now it's on linkage through that, so this is actually controlling that, which is awesome. And like I said, if I can get that screen recorder to work later, I will definitely share some clips of the other useful features like the temperature regulation and stuff. It's super duper high tech and very fun. This is the fluid monitoring module, or FMM, that is associated with the auto top-off kit, which automatically, I'm sure if you're not normally used to the reefing hobby, tanks that are open top in the middle of winter when your water's cooling down, your heater's heating it up, and with an open top sump, go through crazy amounts of water. In fact, this tank probably goes through about 2 gallons a day, which is nuts. 2 whole gallons of just evaporation that's in your room. Thus why I've got the poor dehumidifier that is always running 24/7 to suck all that water out and then snake it and pump it outside where it will never be seen again. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. What else have we got over here? I already kind of discussed the energy bars, which I'll go into more detail on the screen recorded portion, if that's actually possible. The Trident I've already kind of talked about. The Apex itself is this little unit right here with all the wires and stuff. All those wires are different probes that monitor pH, temperature, ORP, and your salinity, your salt concentration, which are all right there and that you can see at any time. They're all logged, so you gotta have about a week's worth of knowing what the heck's going on. The reservoir for the RO is right here. Now I would have put it directly into my RO vat, but the tubing will actually pump to like 14 feet, which is insane. That is like a really, really good pump. But the only problem is that Apex decided, let's give this this automatic top-off kit a super duper overpowered pump, but let's give it literally the shortest power cable we can find. So the only power outlet strips are right there. There's nothing really over here. So I was like, oh shoot. So, yep. Alrighty, I'll get into more of the chiller later. Well, I guess I can just do it now. This video is going to be so long anyways. I'm already up to like 30 minutes. So the chiller is connected to the Apex. So as I was talking about, the Apex has a temperature probe, which is what I call the insurance. So right now it's controlling both of these heaters, which are not normally wireless smart heaters, but because the Apex is connected to them, they are now. So if my temperature was to rise for some unknown reason, it will manually shut these heaters off, and then it will send me an alert saying that it did so, and then I can have the physical option of turning them back on, or the Apex will automatically turn the heaters back on if the water gets too cold. And another awesome feature of the Apex is if you have a chiller and you're running really old school lights, metal halides or something, then you'll definitely be having a chiller. And if your temperature gets too hot, it will run the chiller automatically for you, and it will tell you that it's running the chiller. Now, what if the Apex fails? Well, if the Apex fails, I've got one of these heaters on automated mode so that the Apex can't actually physically turn it off, just in case. And if the if it gets too hot and the Apex doesn't turn the chiller on, this chiller is actually really cool because it has a built-in Wi-Fi module right there. And that Wi-Fi module actually lets me connect via a app to the internet. So I can control that chiller from anywhere in the world, just as a secondary layer of insurance. So I definitely like my insurance when you're talking about a reef tank right here that's probably, I don't even want to say the amount of money that's in that tank, equipment and core-wise. But this is the water mixing station. Connected to the RO tubing that is running directly from my sink. And the RO is a purification process, goes through the mechanical filtration, the carbon blocks and then the DI resin in order to create literally pure water, H2O, no heavy metals, no nothing. So this is literally what happens when water is evaporated. It evaporates RO, it leaves all the heavy stuff behind, and this is what you're replacing. This is my Coral Pro vat, which is very neatly labeled, so I should probably redo these labels. The Coral Pro vat is where I mix my salt. So this salt pump in here, I'll dump water into this vat, or I mean I'll dump salt into this vat, and this pump right here will actually mix it for me, so I don't have to stand around all day stirring it. And that pump is controlled via the apex as well, so I can have it shut it off in a couple hours, or I can have it turn it on every 30 minutes for, I don't know, 5 minutes, just to keep the water circulating, and so none of that salt kind of settles there. As far as equipment goes, I mean, I've got the protein skimmer, which I've discussed kind of creates oxygen. It sucks oxygen from the air, and it has a pump that pumps water up, creating this foam-like appearance. And this foam is actually like the foam at the beach, where you let the little children play in it, and that's all actually fish poop. So it'll foam up and create this liquid that is inside of here. And that liquid is all liquid fish poop, so enjoy that knowledge. And as far as the corals go, guess we could run through that real fast, so I'll be right back. Now, like I've said, for the sake of the video, I'm not going to be running the heavy blues until the end credits, where I'll go through the corals again, but in like a super duper blue filter mode that make all the corals pop, because it would kill the camera right now, and it just wouldn't be any fun. And I've started to go towards more of a white preference anyways. So I've got my different types of Cyphastria. That's an encrusting LPS coral, which stands for large polyp stony. There's another chunk of it right there, pretty cool. Got a couple other big fleshy LPS like that Bowerbanki right there. Got an acan right there. Chalice. Chalices are awesome. And my favorite, that gigantic green and orange Space Invader chalice. Yeah, that's super duper cool. Of course, we have the classic candy cane, one of the first corals I ever learned about, and honestly one of my top favorite ones because of how simple and easy and bulletproof they are. Candy cane is super amazing. You've got your Montipora, which is kind of like a scroll coral, comes out in these giant plates. Really pretty when it gets to a substantial size. You've got your Pavona cactus coral there, kind of growing like little potato chips off of it. Some branching Montipora, that's pretty cool. I've been growing a bunch of this out, trying to propagate it really well, because it's interesting. Let's see, you got some staghorn Acropora there. Not super duper pretty by any means, but definitely, let me see if I can focus on it. Definitely a unique coral. When you go diving and you see the real coral reefs, that's really all it's made up of, are these gigantic staghorn corals, which are what these are right here. These staghorns have the blue tips on them, and they're really bulky and branchy. They don't have any of that flowy motion that's really pretty, but they definitely have their purpose of the reef, which is shelter and nutrient absorption. There is more of a red-brown Acropora there. And then we have one of my favorite ones, which was the first SPS I ever got, was that gigantic staghorn Acropora right there with the green tips, which is really pretty under the blue light, which I'll be showcasing at the very end of the video. You have more of the candy cane corals. Those are super duper awesome. This one's really cool because it has a dark exterior with a bright neon green mouth. Acans are really cool. They're definitely low light corals though, which is why I'm a little bit nervous about when I eventually convert these lights over to being SPS lights. Don't know how they're going to react to that. In fact, I was even planning on getting a third and hanging it in the middle, so there would be 3 Radions over a little teeny tiny 80-gallon tank, but I'm trying to really grow these guys, these acros. I've got your really pretty fleshy LPS, which like that frog spawn, your Duncan, your really mad hammer. I don't know why that guy's so mad. Probably because I dipped him for 2 hours accidentally. Another really pretty Duncan. Your pipe organ, which I smacked earlier, so he's kind of upset right now. This is a really cool coral right there. Whoa, let me focus in on it. That's probably about as good as it's gonna get. But that's a really pretty coral. In person, I mean, it's just radiating gold and green. Super duper awesome. I even have that one right there, which, oh boy, focus lens, which is kind of like a ketchup mustard version of that. Let's see what else we got. These look like amazing under blue lights, not so much under the white lights. But these clove polyps are actually like crazy pretty. They have neon pink in them. You just can't see it because they're actually so fluffy that the purple kind of hides it. But those are super duper awesome, really hardy. Of course, you have like a classic green star polyp. It kind of just looks like grass blowing around, but it's another really awesome classic. You have your zoanthids, which are, of course, these guys. And I've gotten rid of most of my zoanthid colony rocks in favor of making room for stuff. That's probably easier just to look from here. But they are super duper awesome. And, yep. Oh, let's not do that. And those are really cool. So really not a whole lot going on right now with the fragging. I've spent most of my time and energy on my 20-gallon tank upstairs, that coral tank, because it's looking amazing right now with all of the big fleshy LPS up in it. But I guess we'll round out this by looking at the livestock, which of course can only be done by feeding the tank because my fish hate me and they don't like seeing me. Now normally I feed the Sarah Marine. Sarah Marine pellets are definitely my favorite, but these Omega 1s are really cool because they sink, and I really like the sinking part. And when I'm trying to get the fish to actually stay still for me for a second, oh yeah, that wasn't too much at all. The good thing about this is that 20 gallons of pure Kato can like literally suck all the nutrients up, so don't hate me for overfeeding. Got tons of damselfish. A lot of people don't like the damselfish, but I do because they, you get enough of them, they can't kill each other. And they look really cool as a schooling fish. You got your really expensive purple tang in there, who's like a giant, fat purple tang, because I feed him so much to keep his aggression down. That's definitely my most aggressive fish, even more so than the damsels. Got that Tomini tang, beautiful fish. And he looks even better under the blue lights. The radions really bring out the fish colors, which most blue LEDs don't do super well. You've got your Domino Damsel, which is that big old giant black guy with the dots on him. He is like probably second in line to being the most evil thing in the tank, aside from my purple tang. You have these urchins in the back here, which are like super cool. They're long spine urchins. They are venomous. If you get pricked by them, it does kind of hurt for a little bit. But they're amazing algae eaters, and the only other better ones would probably be the pincushion urchins. But the pincushion urchins, they like to pick up the corals and they like to throw them like the Hulk. So I don't really like that. But these guys, they don't. Definitely some really awesome fish. That Domino Damsel's showing everybody he's the boss. I even put some like rocks in the back. I used to not have anything back there, but those rocks are there so everybody can kind of get a territory and stop, beating each other up. Which I was thinking about getting a really cool parrotfish in here to eat some of this turf algae, but I'm honestly just afraid that damsel's just gonna beat him up until he jumps out, and parrotfish are very expensive. Well, the koi, because that's the only reef safe one. I was really hoping that the purple tang would come out because it's by far the prettiest fish in the entire system. Please come out. You look like you're dark under there. Maybe I just increase the saturation a little bit. It still doesn't even look as pretty as he does when he comes out. You can really see all those damsels in there, though. I wasn't joking when I said I loaded this thing up. Of course, now they all hide. But the damsels, they all kind of have their territories in the tank. They all have their particular coral that they protect. And when the fish come right at you, you know just how fat they are. Oh, that purple tank, that's just an oval. That's an oval of a fish. Oh my gosh, look, he's showing his stuff off for you. Beautiful fish, absolutely amazing color, but definitely a butt. So add that fish last, don't add it first like I did, because then you'll have a tank with nothing but damsels in it. So that's the livestock of the tank, coral and fish. I'm pretty sure we've covered all the equipment. I'll go into the Neptune stuff a little bit further in depth on the computer. Like I said, if I'm even able to work it, which is kind of suspect. Yep, not gonna lie. So we'll be right back. Alrighty, so for some reason there is an ambient noise in my background. I can't figure out what exactly it is, but it is causing a lot of noise. But it kind of goes away when I start talking, so I'm just gonna keep talking. You know, that's a pretty good plan. So this is Apex Fusion, the dashboard I was talking about, and if you're seeing this, then it does mean that I was able to get the screen recorder to work, which I suppose there is a first for everything. Apex Fusion is an internet-based platform, and I'm on the computer right now, but there is a mobile app. So if you like the mobile app, look a little bit more versus the computer. That's kind of up to you. So right now you have the time. It is 1800 hours, and I can't get that to change the standard time, so oh well. It shows your salt concentration, which is 36.7, equates to about 1.026 salinity, roughly, which is pretty good. You know, it's a little bit high. It could go down to about, 2.4 would be preferred. But I mean 1.024, not 24. That'd be nuts. pH is looking great because I had the garage door open today, and the more airflow you got, the better your pH is. So pH of 8.3 is like golden. That's like a super amazing pH that you'd want to have. Temperature 78.2, that's right where I want it to be at, so that is absolutely perfect. And like I was saying, that this temperature right here, if it ever goes up super crazy, it will use this power strip thing to, let me see if I can find it. Dose, chiller, skimmer, heater. Look, heater 1 and 2, it will automatically turn those off, send me a notification, and if the temperature drops, it will turn both of the heaters back on, send me a notification, the works. It shows me exactly how much calcium I dose over the day, so it's not dumping it all in at once, it's kind of periodically squirting it out there. So it's about 18.5 milliliters a day of calcium uptake. Alkalinity is a little bit more at almost 30 milliliters per day, which is pretty nuts. Right now it's registering that I don't have any calcium liquid in the vial there. That isn't true. I did put a little bit in. I put about 250 milliliters worth. So yep. And I can change how much is in there by just clicking that button, and this is dose _ calcium, so this is the one I want to change. Volume remaining is about 250, and then I just hit this little button right up here that says update Apex, and I was like, alright. So now I just go back to the dashboard, and bada bing bada boom, it takes it a second, but it'll fill that back up. So if I go back into it just to kind of update it, it'll eventually change. And you can do the same thing with the alkalinity. You can kind of click on that, and if you have I don't know, if you just filled it back up, you can click that fill button, and it automatically brings it all the way up to there. I'm pretty sure it was 710. And then you can click that again, just like that. And you can see all your updated versions on this side that's connected to the Apex, whatever you named it as. Dose, obviously it's a doser. And as you can see, it's now updated it to be about 250 milliliters right there, so super cool. This is the core, so that return pump I was talking about, that pump in the bottom of the tank that kind of brings water up to the top of the tank, that is made by Apex, so it really fits in super well. That second one I had is called the Vectra. I will try to do a rundown of the Vectra stuff, but I'd have to do that on my phone, and I don't think my phone actually has a screen recorder, so yeah. Alright, so the Core 20, it's using about 44 watts of power, so it'll actually tell you how much power it's using, the RPM of it, which is about 2600, and the temperature. So this is really cool. So if your temperature goes super duper high, which means you have something stuck in the pump or the pump needs maintenance, it will send you an alert. It'll be like, hey, your pump is way too hot. Get over here, shut the pump off, let's clean this sucker, and then it'll run a lot better, and it'll actually save you a little bit of wattage. Those big electrical outlets where everything was plugged into, they're called the Energy Bar 32s. So the EB832s, that's the Energy Bar 32s. And these are super duper smart. They will actually show you how much energy you're using. So say you are running two 400 watt heaters, you're running a chiller all at the same time, which you shouldn't be, because that means they're fighting themselves. That's going to be a lot of power. So you can tell that the beefy run is running at about 6 amps, which is a lot. And you can tell that just went down, or maybe it went up, I can't tell. But that means that one of the heaters just either turned on or turned off. I think it went down, so that means the heater just turned itself off. So it's real time, which is super awesome. And then you can kind of see the second energy bar there. What's really cool, or scary, depending on how you look at it, is if you click that, and you put in your cost per kilowatt of hour, which ours is about this, and you do say all, which will measure all of your energy readings. I think this is for December. Okay, so this isn't all of it, but on a monthly scale, it'll tell you about how much you're using, which is about $33.94 in electricity. And I really hope that my mom doesn't watch this video, because she will start charging me, because that is a crazy amount of power each month. Basically like $35. Now granted, it is the winter time, so the heaters are working a little bit more. They're working overtime, but that is a lot of money. You know, so this is not a cheap hobby, so that a month is unfortunate, you know. So let's just go back, let's get out of this depressing cost. There we go. This is the Trident, so that kind of box looking thing I had out there. This is what tests my water for me. It'll automatically test this. If I click on here, it kind of shows me my levels. It'll show me about at what time, Saturday, Sunday, yesterday, today, you know, which is really cool. Wednesday. So you got about a week's worth of testing right here about what your alkalinity went up to. So you can kind of tell it went up to about 9, then it kind of dropped, then it went back up, and then it's kind of stayed the same, which is good. You want it to stay pretty stable, which is why I have the doser dosing in accordance to whatever this is testing. And then, you know, the calcium went up to about 36, and the low was about 17. So this didn't even really move. This looks like it really is drastically changing, but it is not. It is not changing at all. And then, of course, the magnesium. You know, the magnesium never changes. So unless you got something going on. And then this is, you know, the reservoir for the doser, which doses in accordance to this. So it's all one giant, you know, system. And it's quite neat, because if you click on the feed cycles here, A, B, C, D, they do different things. If you click on feed A, it'll actually shut some of these off. So it'll shut, it won't shut the heater off. it'll shut the skimmer off. It'll shut the those are unassigned. It will shut the, let's see what else, the return pump power, the auto top off power. It'll shut all that stuff off so it doesn't freak it out. One of the very interesting things about the core is that during feed mode it'll actually put up a little bit of back pressure so you don't reverse siphon. I believe. I haven't tested that out. It's just, I think, what the video said. But by far, this is like an awesome investment. It is quite a bit of money for this whole tricked out system that you're seeing right here. With the return pump and the second energy bar, you're probably looking at about $2,700, which is a lot of money, a whole lot of money. But when you really think about it, it's insurance, and this equipment, it doesn't really go bad as long as you service it correctly. And even if it does kind of, go a little wonky, Apex will be, I'm sure, more than happy to work something out with you where you can pay for parts or something and they'll fix it. And they're very helpful like that. Their customer service is pretty great. So that's all pretty cool. You've got your Core 20 power here. As you can see, I can turn it on, off. It's kind of giving me the OK signal. It's doing great. It's all good. You can kind of see, where's the Core 20? Here it is. Click on that. You can kind of see I have it set to quote-unquote 100%. 100% is actually only 40%. So my minimum speed is going to be about 36, max speed is going to be about 40, and that's just what it's running 24/7. If it was actually running at 2,000 gallons per hour with another pump that runs 2,000 gallons per hour, I think it would blow through its tubing. I think it would literally just shoot the tubing off and spray everything. So, and that's what that quote-unquote IQ level adjustment is, which is pretty sick. If you're actually able to say, hey, I want my minimum speed to be 20%, maximum speed 100%, and it fluctuates throughout the day, kind of gives you more of a real natural reef environment, which is pretty neat. Also, it'll save you a little bit of electricity if that's important. So that's pretty much the whole the Apex system there. Really fast, really quick. I mean, you can see other people's stuff too. Like your friend's tank, if you wanted to check out your friend's tank and see, oh, how's he doing? Make sure there wasn't any crazy funky stuff going on. Temperature's at 76.9, which is perfect. pH is pretty good too, looking at 8.15. That's great. The salt is a little crazy right there, but I've been informed that he is just yet to recalibrate that. So, yep. All of these lights, return pump, he's got UV sterilizers, all this stuff, it's all controlled via the Apex. And if he goes on vacation and you notice something that, hey, something's wrong here, your pH is at like 7, and he sees that too, he can be like, hey man, I'll pay you $10, go over there and kick my alkalinity doser, so it starts dosing alkalinity again or something, and that's like a lifesaver. Or if you've got a local fish store that has a service department, just give them a ring and say, hey man, this is like an emergency, can you just swing over real fast, the key's under the mat, just fix the tank, and that will literally save you a lot of money. Even though mine is a little bit beefier, you can kind of see I have more stuff on it, because I like my toys, but this system right here, like I said, it's about 2,600, but I'm thinking, let me do the math real fast. So I've got, let's just say about 15 damsels, and each of them are about, on average, $8, so that's about $120 in damsels right there, so that's 120, plus a $300 purple tang, plus like a $64 Tomini tang, plus, let's see, roughly about, I don't know, let's just say $1,500 worth of, shoot, what have I done? Hold on. Yeah, so that would be about $1,920. So you're already getting up to that that mark right there. And that's because I've been shuffling some coral around to my 20-gallon tank to make it look better. If I was to put all that coral back in, I'd probably be looking at an extra, I don't know, another 1,500. So that'd be about 3420, which is what that tank is normally stocked up to be. Let's just say I am crazy and I get a $240 parrotfish because they're pretty and they do a good job at cleaning things. Well, that's 3,600, you know. So the more stuff you put in there, the more expensive it becomes, and the more the Apex just becomes like an obvious choice. And to be completely real, the only system that you need is the base Apex. I say Apex, but that's like all of this stuff, you know. The base Apex is just like this right here. So you get your salt, pH, temperature, ORP, and then you get your energy bar. That is about $800, and that's all you need for all of this controllability. So you don't need the crazy doser, you don't need the crazy water tester, you don't need the crazy reservoir, you don't need the crazy return pump. You don't need any of that. That's all. Those are all really just toys. To be completely honest, they're not necessary, to be real. So for $800 and we take all the other stuff off, we're back at that about $2,000 number. Would I rather have an $800 system that saves me $2,000, or would I rather lose $2,000 because I don't know, your kid pours milk in the sump and it does something to the pH? I don't know. And you don't find out until the next day. So these are the things that will immediately alert you, say, hey, we got a problem, you need to fix this. Here's what's gonna happen, this is what I'm doing, and then give you as the person options to either say, no, that's fine, don't do that, it's alright, or be like, oh shoot, yeah, let me go do that, let me go see what's going on. So that was a literally 16-minute rant on Apex, and I'm sorry about that. But it's just so super awesome that, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer for anybody that's got, like I said, more than $800 worth of livestock in your tank. I mean, it'll even save other pieces of equipment too, like heaters if it's out of the water and, you know, something happens. Well, guess what? It's not going to turn the heater on out of the water because it's registering as the water being fine temperature-wise, so it's not going to, you know, light your house on fire. That's like a really extreme case. Don't ever think that, you know, that's always going to happen. That probably just scared some people, but yeah. Some of the things that I don't have about the Apex, and this is now going to be like a 20-minute video, is that I don't have the leak detection kit. So Apex actually makes a leak detection kit that will detect leaks. Say in the middle of the night you lose power and it back siphons, then you turn back, then your power turns back on, and your return pump gets jammed or clogged. Well, if you don't have the Apex return pump, it'll overflow, you know, or if you don't have a super giant massive sump like I do, that's like ridiculous. Then it'll overflow, and if you got hardwood floors, that's a no-no. That'll start warping some floors. So you want to know that as soon as possible, and the leak detection kit, as soon as it detects water on the floor, will tell you, hey, you got water, come get a towel, wipe this sucker up, and it'll all be good. But, you know, you sleep in the middle of the night and you don't know that there's a power outage, and you got water sitting for 6 hours on the floor. That's, especially salt water sitting on the floor, that's going to do some damage. And the only reason why I don't have that is it's a garage, so it's concrete. I mean, what can you do to concrete? And B, I'm such a klutz that every time I do a water change, I end up spilling a good gallon somehow. And it would just go off every time I do a water change. So that's why I don't have that. But that's super duper awesome. And of course, if I go through these really fast, you see the automatic top off kit right there. you kind of see the, this is the weird stuff. So this is the programming. If you are a nerd, you can do this for every single piece of equipment you have, and it will take forever, but you will love it. You can go through and code your equipment, when to turn on, when to turn off, have emergency shut-offs, like, you know, defer 10 seconds and on, defer 4 seconds and off. So it waits 10 seconds to turn itself on, just to make sure that, you know, nothing weird is happening, and then it waits 4 seconds to turn itself off, just so it doesn't have to keep turning itself on and off and on and off and on and off. And then you've got a minimum on time, so it doesn't just, you know, accidentally turn itself on for half a second, then screw it up somehow. Going back, you've got your, this is a power head, MP40, which is the Vortec power head I was talking about, that is externally driven through magnets that you basically never have to clean. You can have configurations on for this, where it's you know, off and on for 5 minutes, off for another 5 minutes. Now this is a smart power head, so I just have it on all the time. It doesn't really need the Apex. Same thing with the lights. You've got your the Radeon lights. It's got an on time of, you know, it turns on at 9 o'clock, turns off at 9 o'clock, you know, 12 hours, ramp up and down. And that's what it does all the time anyways, but these are very smart lights, so I don't actually need this. It's just more of a comfort to know I can turn it off if I ever have to. You know, you got your heaters. Let's just take a look at this one. So your on temperature is, you know, 78 degrees, which it should actually be like 77. And your off temperature is at 79 degrees. So if it goes all the way down to 77, it'll turn it on. If it goes past 79, it says, okay, this is bad, let's cut this sucker off, and it'll cut it off. So there we go. Cool. That's the heater. You got your skimmer, protein skimmer, which you know, it just turns itself off for feed time. The feed timer delay is 5. I assume that's minutes. So nothing super special about the protein skimmer. The chiller, that's another cool thing, is it'll turn on at 80 degrees and it'll turn back off at 78 degrees. Probably should have that to 75.5 because that's what the chiller wants to go to, and if it turns it off, I feel like it just screwed the chiller. So look, I'm doing things I totally forgot I had to do. Water mixing pump. So that's just my my pump for that big water mixing vat. I can turn it to auto, which just turns it off automatically, because I don't want that to run all the time, because if it runs and there's no water, it'll burn itself out. I turn it on so that it's on, and I can already hear it downstairs moving the water around, mixing up that salt, and normally it's just stationary at off. The Refugium, which is another light, the AI light, that's another smart device, so I don't really need it to be on. And then I have a couple that are actually not in use, which is pretty cool. So that is the Apex system. This is like a super duper nerdy video on the Apex, and I do apologize. But I only really do the big nitty gritty, every single piece of equipment kind of stuff once a year, because normally I'll just put out 10-minute videos of the corals moving around like pretty, but I mean really all the fun, well, half the fun is in the corals and watching them grow, and the other half is in caring for the corals. And the Apex, it makes it so much easier to care for the corals and more fun, because you can kind of mess with stuff a little bit more to perfect it. So for the technology geeks, this is like a must-have. Even though it is kind of expensive, it's definitely, in my books, it's a worthwhile investment. And I'm not saying that just because I work at a fish store and I want to sell you a lot of these. But yes, I do want to sell you a lot of these. But they're just infinitely fascinating. So I won't go through every single thing, like how to calibrate all this, how to, I don't know, change this, how to manually dose, how to manually test. That would literally take us probably an hour and a half, and this video is already going to be about an hour long, so I do apologize, kind of. But like I said, I do this video once a year, big update spiel, and you know, next year I might not even do the Apex because I'm going so in depth into it, unless, I don't know, I get like the new LED light or something that they just came out with, which I probably won't, because 3 Radions over a 80-gallon tank would make some people throw up. So thanks for this, and I'm going to try to get the Mobius to work on my phone, so I'll be back if I can get that to work. Alrighty, and if you are seeing this, then it means that I was successfully able to get the Mobius dashboard to work and my screen recorder to work. Now, unfortunately, I can't move it sideways, which is quite a flaw. And this is the first time I've seen the new look for the app, which is very interesting. I was not expecting to see this, but it's basically essentially the same. So you have your devices. As you can see over the tank, I have my 2 Vortex. You can see my lighting, which are the 2 XR30s, and then you can see the Vectra, the return pump there. So Mobius is pretty awesome. You have live demos. If I click this, you can see all the different color channels it has. It shows you the lights and stuff down at the bottom here. So my lighting is the XR30 Gen 5 blue. So if I want, I can kind of mess with this, and in real time it will kind of show me what's going on. So if I do that, you know, ramp all my blues up, my colors really pop, and my corals look amazing. But if I want to take a picture and I don't have a filter, then maybe I'm gonna do, you know, something like that, and then add quite a bit of white, and then maybe a little bit of red and green. And that will let me take really good pictures of the coral. So let me get out of that. Alright, so next we have the Vortex. This is the live demo, by the way. So it'll reset itself after about 2 hours. So if I turn that down to, I don't know, 12%, or I don't know, whatever. That's interesting. But if I 12 that down to 20, 12%, whatever, and I turn this all the way down to, you know, 45%, and I do okay, done, you can see the live demo will automatically reset itself after 2 hours. So if you accidentally forget, I don't know, you want to put on the red and green spectrum for some random reason, don't worry, it's not going to get stuck on a red and green spectrum. It's going to reset after 2 hours. Or you can click it and it automatically goes off. You have a feed mode, which you can turn on to slow down your power heads, slow down your return pump. So that's pretty cool. You have color channel cycling, so that's like light cycling, disco. I don't know why anybody would ever want to do that. Thunderstorm, that's pretty neat. And cloud cover, which is awesome. It kind of dims parts of the light. So let's see what else we got here under devices. This is the all tab, so these are all my devices. I have 2 lights, a Vectra, and 2 Vortex MP40s over that tank. Now I've got, say, these are the lights, this is the flow. I don't have any dosers. But under the all tab, it just kind of gives you everything there, and you can individually tap these guys, and it kind of shows you what it's doing. So right now I'm at about 5,000 gallons per hour, which is just insane over a little teeny tiny 2x4 foot tank. You can kind of see what I have going on here. Right now I'm loving the nutrient transport mode, simply because it creates that back and forth wave motion that is just insane. It looks just like you would see in nature, and I really think that my acropora colonies, they really love that. So that was my personal favorite. If I wanted to adjust this, I could simply tap on it and then adjust the maximum speed. So say I want it to go up to, I don't know, 75%. I can click done, save, and then boom, it's automatically saved. And then I can do the same thing to this one, do that, and then that. And then click that back up to 75%. And There we go. And boom, that one's saved too. And you can always change it. Like you can do different modes, so it doesn't have to be that. And of course, you can switch the times at what it kind of switches to. So the whole time thing is, if you want your fish to be able to sleep and be a little bit easier for them, you can turn this all the way down to, like, I don't know, 20% or something, and they won't have to fight the current as much. But if you just want to use this time like I do, and you want it to be at full 100%, because my fish have a lot of cover under those racks, then that will actually kind of shuffle the fish poop up and then over and then down in my filter sock, and into my protein skimmer. So that is like super awesome. I really like that. Let's see what else we got. The Vectra, which is super duper cool. It tells you the wattage it's running, 18 watts. Kind of shows you the little, I don't know, picture of itself, in case you forgot what it looked like. You have your templates, AB+. I don't understand what any of these have to do with any of the programs have to do with the return pump. I mean, yeah, I don't know. So that's more or less for the Vortec power heads, and for the Vortec lights, or not Vortec lights, but the Ecotech, just call it Ecotech stuff. You have a feed mode where you can turn the pressure down on the pump. Then you've got your constant speed. It's at 40%, so it doesn't overflow the tank because it's going crazy. If it were to do that. The lighting, so the lighting's pretty cool. You have an acclimation mode. You also have a ramp up and a ramp down. So at 9 o'clock in the morning, it starts to ramp up, and by 9 o'clock at night, it cuts off completely. And then I have the lunar cycle coming on. And the awesome fun fact about the lunar cycle is that it will actually mimic the current moon. So if it's a full moon, it's going to be a little bit brighter than normal. If it's just barely visible, it's going to be very dim, almost like you wouldn't be able to see it. So during spot intensity, so this is kind of in the morning, I have all my blues up, intensity is only at 50%. This is kind of like peak intensity at during the middle of the day. Now it is running reds and lime, which is green, and white at 100%, which really always makes me nervous. When I'm talking to people at the store about what to run their lights at, I always say low reds, low greens, low whites, and you won't have algae problems. I do have an algae problem, but I'm really trying to trust the Ecotech setting, because this is a preset setting. They've done a lot of research to cultivate the best light. I really just hope that it works out, because I am trusting quite a bit with running these reds and limes so high. Now, one of the things about this light, it is the blue model, which means it has less white. So technically it's still more blue and less white and red and green, but anytime I see the sliders at 100% for those, really makes me nervous. So we will see, and then I'll be able to recommend it or not. And then of course this is the other part of the day, still at 70%, same settings. Then down here you kind of see similar things happening all the way up to the lunar cycle, which if I can click on that, actually I have to go over here. Maybe I clicked on the wrong one. Yep, there you go. So point intensity, moonlight, moonlight blue at 100%. I kind of like to have the moonlight a little bit less and the blue a little bit more. Kind of makes it look like an actual moonlight, not just a purple thing, but you know. Let's see here. So that's the acclimation mode. You can literally, it shows you what it is. It's a waxing gibbous outside, and that's what it's going to be programmed at. The templates, like I said, you have these. This is where these actually come into play, where you just click on it, and it will program the light and the power heads to this setting, so that it's ideal, you know, if you're not trying to be the chemist or the you know, the laboratory guy who's always tweaking his stuff. The people at Ecotech have already done that for you. So they've given you an AB+, which is like a you know, kind of a mixed reef kind of vibe. You've got your PHX14, which is more or less for good acropora growth and more of a metal halide look. You've got your LPS/soft, which is going to maximize the color, but also not be too intense so that it burns the LPS. Then you got radiant color, which are designed to really show off your coral and your fish. So I'm guessing that's quite a bit of that cyan spectrum, quite a bit of that that green spectrum, along with your blues and stuff. So pretty cool. I believe that is pretty much it for the Mobius. I mean, I can show you the other tanks if I can figure that out. Yep, here we are. Okay, so you can kind of see my little icon there. You can adjust that. You can see my my Red Sea Max Nano. So this, you can kind of tell it's got the Ecotech XR15 over it. Same dealio, really nothing special there. The Reefer 250, which actually has Radeon Gen 4s, which are now compatible with the Mobius app, which is super awesome because I hate the Reef Link. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. I do like that it's Wi-Fi controlled, I really like that, but I hate it. So that's awesome. And then the 265 is just a collection of devices that has nothing to do with any of my stuff. So you just click on whatever you want to see, just like this. Now it is Bluetooth, which means you can't control it from anywhere in the world like you can the Apex software, which is, I really like that. But there's really no need to control any of these items from anywhere in the world. I mean, it's all Bluetooth, so you kind of have to be close, but lights, power heads, if you're not home to see that stuff, there's no point in changing it. The only reason that I like that I would like something like that would be because I don't know, to show friends what spectrum I use. But if I'm going off of the default, like the AB+ spectrum, then, you know, there's kind of no point in having that anyways. You just tell them, oh, I'm going after AB+ from 9 in the morning, 9 at night, and that pretty much sums it up. So yeah, super awesome app. This is the first time I've seen it in this new look, which is interesting. I do like that it actually shows you the pictures of the devices because like I said, if you ever forget what it looks like, it shows you a picture of it, and I'm being sarcastic there. But so that's pretty cool, and I think this is a great place to stop recording. I will go ahead and make the end credits just no talking from me, just corals under some ultra blue light, so you can really see what they look like under the those perfect conditions. So thanks for watching this like hour-long presentation of my tank, and I'm glad that I'm sure by now you're asleep. Hopefully the next video that plays is a very calming one, so you have good dreams. And I will see you in a year for another one of these super long educational videos. So peace. Alrighty, and I lied. There was one last thing before I go. This is the nutrient transport mode that I was talking about for my Vortec MP40s. This is an 80-gallon 2x4 foot tank, so it is pretty short, but decent in size overall. Saying kind of like a shorter 120-gallon tall, if that makes sense. And this is what the power heads do. So, as you can see, some really crazy motion happening from the top there, almost scary crazy. But this is like what you would see in the shallow reefs. You see this water movement going up and down and up and down and up and down, and that's really getting all the dust and the debris out from under those racks, pushing it up into the overflows, while also giving the corals a really nice circular motion Those acropore in the middle, they absolutely love it to death. It makes all the polyps come out nice and stringy. So that is super awesome. That was just the last little bit. I thought that was super duper neat. Neat little thing to share, because that is such crazy flow right there. So if your tank looks anything like that, you're doing a great job. And it is a little bit scary. As you can see, I was getting kind of close, showing you that thankfully that's at 100%, so I know it's not going to overflow the tank. But yep, so now I'll get to the corals.